Chapter 456. It was obvious that it was Bo Jinxiao's first time being rejected and she felt a little uncomfortable, but she pretended to be generous and glanced at Yu Manran beside her. Is it because of Manran? Turning around, Bo Jinxiao said to Bei Yunj, but I have a good relationship with Zhixing, I don't lack friends. Bei Yunj smiled. No matter how good she was at tolerating it, Bo Jinxiao's smile disappeared completely in the face of Bei Yunj's attitude. From the corner of her eye, she happened to see the bracelet on Bei Yunj's wrist and a trace of surprise flashed past her eyes. Perhaps because she had been staring for too long, the young lady who came with Bo Jinxiao also noticed that Bei Yunj and Bo Jinxiao were wearing the same bracelet. Why is this bracelet the same as yours, Jinxiao? The young lady said with a smile. It should be a coincidence. The moment Bo Jinxiao finished speaking, the young lady's tone suddenly became sharp and strange. Jinxiao, there are many people in our industry who imitate your outfits. What's so strange about that? It's just that this bracelet is a love gift from young Master Chu and someone actually has the cheek to copy it. Are you done? Miss Bo, did you change your profession and become an artiste? You've been overseas for 2 to 3 years and there are still people imitating your outfits? Yu Manran immediately laughed, his tone cold. You? The girl's face turned livid, but she did not dare to say anything overboard in front of Yu Manran. After all, now that the Yu family was working with the Hua family, their status in Yuncheng was unshakable. Even the Bo family had to give them some face. So, the girl changed the topic and could only vent her anger on Bei Yunj. Miss Pei is really amazing. She hasn't been back to the Qin family for long, right? She can already seduce Miss Yu? It seems like Miss Pei really came prepared. Sigh, Qin Youjiao's status is still too low. Why? Do you need to perform something because you're so skilled? Pei Yunj's eyes curved as she looked at her with a smile that did not reach her eyes. Hearing this, the girl trembled with anger. Let's go, man. Bei Yunj was about to leave when she was stopped by the girl. Stop. You're wearing the same bracelet as her? How can you be so nonchalant? The temperature in Bei Yunj's eyes gradually dropped. However, when she looked up, she saw Qin Luyan standing behind Bo Jinxiao and Bo Jinxiao. Under the thin gold-rimmed glasses, his refined and noble eyes seemed to emit a trace of coldness. His dark eyes were frightening. Good. As soon as he finished speaking, the girl, who had been arrogant just a moment ago, instantly felt a chill down her spine. This year, the Qin Corporation had expanded too quickly. People in the industry had no choice but to pay attention to this young and promising President Qin. Bo Jinxiao turned around and saw the refined and handsome man walking toward Bei Yunj. Then, a trace of coldness flashed past his dark eyes hidden under his thin glasses. His long, bony fingers gently circled Bei Yunj's wrist. After undoing the bracelet, he threw it into the trash can. What Arger has can only be unique. With that said, Qin Luyan took off his wristwatch and put it on Bei Yunj's wrist. Hearing this, he scoffed. So the eldest young master of the Chu family is so perfunctory when it comes to love gifts. He's not even willing to find a custom-made one. Instantly, Bo Jinxiao's face paled and she looked at the man with a dangerous aura in front of her instinctively. However, at this moment, Qin Luyan only glanced at Bei Yunj's dress. Then, he knelt on one knee and tidied her dress seriously. Chapter 457. It was obvious. Qin Luyan doted on Bei Yunj to the bone. Seeing this, Yu Manran's eyes were filled with envy. Look, this was someone else's brother. What about her brother? Suddenly, Bo Jinxiao chuckled. President Qin must have misunderstood something. Then what does Miss Bo think I misunderstood? Qin Luyan did not look up and there was no emotion in his eyes. However, Bo Jinxiao could not say a word. Do you need someone to remind you how you got together with Chu Ziyuan? Qin Luyan's eyes were refined and arrogant, but there was no gentleness. It was a frightening feeling that made people panic. Instantly, Bo Jinxiao's legs turned weak instinctively and she took a step back. She never thought that Qin Luyan would target her because of such a small matter. My guru doesn't like to follow the rules, but Miss Bo, you have to follow the rules. Qin Luyan's eyes were as dark as ink, filled with a deep and faint light, as if he could see through people's hearts. He smirked slightly. After all, what she has is inherent. But Miss Bo isn't. With that said, Bo Jinxiao's face paled and her pupils constricted. What did Qin Luyan know? At first, she thought that Qin Luyan had probably heard some rumors about her in the industry. But now, it seemed like Qin Luyan knew something he shouldn't know. Okay, I'll apologize to Miss Bo first. Excuse me. With that said, Qin Luyan left with Bei Yunj. Yuman Ran, who was beside her, was slightly excited. F***ck, Yunj, isn't your older brother too handsome? Do you lack a sister-in-law? What do you think of me? Bei Yunj. I don't know. She only knew that in her previous life, there was a woman who loved Qin Luyan but could not get him, so she destroyed the entire Qin family. At this thought, Bei Yunj glanced at her. Don't do anything rash. Tisk, I couldn't tell that our girl is a brother complex. After Yuman Ran was rejected, he was not sad at all and was still laughing foolishly. Bei Yunj was speechless. At this moment, Bo Jinxiao was still standing on the spot. The girl next to her hurriedly comforted her. Jinxiao, President Qin dotes on his new sister very much, so I don't think he is targeting you on purpose. Who knew? Bo Jinxiao looked at Bei Yunj's departing figure and only smiled. Bei Yunj, what an interesting little girl. Yuman Ran was about to go home, but he was brought back to the living room by the Bo family's butler. She realized that all 4 members of the Bo family were there. Auntie Bo, you are? Yuman Ran felt an inexplicable sense of fear. Man, have you seen Wei? Old Master Bo could not hold it in any longer. He stood up and held Yuman Ran's hand as he asked. She was not the only one who had seen it. Everyone present had seen it. When Old Master Bo heard this, his heart ached. That's great. He actually managed to see Wei Yuan in person. But on the surface, Old Master Bo still patted Yuman Ran's hand reservedly. Not bad, good boy. Yuman Ran was speechless. What's with this high praise? Yuman Ran suddenly felt flattered. One had to know that Old Master Bo rarely praised anyone. I wonder if I'll have the chance to see Wayne, Old Master Bo muttered to himself. Actually, I think the Bo family and the Hua family have a good relationship. Yuman Ran hinted crazily without batting an eyelid. If you're free, why don't you go and see Master Du? No, that fellow is not easy to get along with. I don't like him. Hearing this, Old Master Bo looked unhappy and let go of his hand instinctively, wanting to sit back on the sofa. However, Yuman Ran suddenly grabbed him and insisted, no, you like him. Chapter 458. Old Master Bo was stunned when he heard this. He did not know what this little girl meant. However, a dark look flashed past Bo Xiuqin's eyes and he said, if there's a chance, I'll bring grandfather to visit. No, why are we visiting the Hua family? Old Master Bo was very resistant. Ever since he met that junior from the Hua family more than 10 years ago, he never wanted to have anything to do with him again. Grandfather, Shidu was still young back then. Didn't he just say a few words of truth? Why hold a grudge? Bo Xiuqin said leisurely. Old Master Bo was speechless. Did he just say a few words of truth? Initially, he had helped Old Hua teach the child his homework out of goodwill. In the end, this child was so young. Were the questions humans could do? As a student of the mathematics department at Neely University and the oldest generation of intellectuals who had returned from overseas, he was discriminated against by a child. This was simply unbearable to look back on. After Yuman Ran left, Bo Xiuqin still insisted on bringing Old Master Bo to visit the Hua family. Later on, the old master was so angry that he hugged his fishing rod and bucket for a few days and refused to go downstairs. The next day, the moment Bei Yunj returned home, she saw Huashidu walking back with Old Master Qin. It seemed that Huashidu's relationship with Old Master Qin had improved after staying in the Qin family's old residence for the past 2 days. However, Bei Yunj greeted him and still went upstairs first. What has Ge been busy with recently? Old Master Qin found it strange and turned to look at Huashidu. Shidu, could it be that some brat has eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts and has designs on my precious Ge? Shidu glanced at Bei Yunji's back view and laughed again. No, Shidu, you don't know how bad the kids are nowadays. Old Master Qin thought of the negative news about high school students falling in love and was extremely nervous. He grabbed Shidu's hand again. Shidu, after grandfather's birthday banquet ends in a few days, Gur will return to your place. You have to pay more attention to Gur. Don't let Gur be abducted by bad boys. The man licked his itchy teeth casually and chuckled in a low voice. His posture was lazy and casual. Grandpa, don't worry. With me around, this won't happen. Upstairs. As soon as Bei Yunji returned to her bedroom, she found that the strong pink color had disappeared and was replaced by a simple wooden design. It also made Bei Yunji feel inexplicably relieved. Very soon, Bei Yunji answered Du Zhao's call. Girl, I found it. Your score was used by a rather young girl in this selection competition. Her name is Qin Youjiao. Bei Yunji had just sat down to turn on the computer when she heard Old Master Qin's words. Her hand that was holding the mouse also paused. She said lazily, "It's her." Du Xiao did not expect that the person who stole Bei Yunji's score would be that talented girl. She wants to compete with my score? Bei Yunji chuckled as her eyes fell on the computer screen. Du Xiao said, "I'm not sure yet, but she's quite special." She knew that the person in charge this time was Wang and still dared to steal Yun's score. Wasn't he a little too bold? Elder Du, check again and see who else is involved in this matter. Bei Yunji said slowly. You mean, someone is helping her? Du Xiao froze. If I'm not wrong, it should be someone from our nation. Chapter 459. From the invitation to Neely's 18th birthday ball, she knew that this matter had become interesting. That person must have appeared. If that's the case, then it's difficult. The forces in our nation are much more complicated. Du Xiao furrowed his eyebrows unconsciously. How did Qin Youjiao know someone from our nation? It doesn't matter if we can find out or not. Du Xiao replied, There's one more thing. What? You should at least go and take a look at the last round of the International Musicians Association selection. Du Xiao sighed and said faintly, Aren't we going to watch the video? Du Xiao's eyelid twitched. In the last round, the other two people in charge of assisting you will also go to Yuncheng. When the time comes, if you don't want to see anyone, you can speak behind the scenes, okay? Bei Yunji said. Since he had already said so much, Lin Mingya had no choice but to accept. Time passed. In the piano room, Cheng Zihuai turned around in surprise. Jiao Jiao, is this your new song? For the past 2 days, Qin Youjiao had been practicing this score almost all the time except for class. Qin Youjiao looked down and could not see her gaze clearly. She only heard her laugh. I asked the teacher to help me change it. Is the song all right? This song is very nice. Cheng Zihuai was not flattering her. Even though he was a layman, he could feel that Qin Youjiao's song was a qualitative leap compared to before. Teacher changed it well. Qin Youjiao said deliberately, What's wrong? Did I not play well in the past? It's good. It's just that this song is too good. Ran Wenxing Zihuai came over and caressed Qin Youjiao's head, saying with a smile, Aren't you happy that I praise your improvement? Qin Youjiao said nothing. However, Cheng Zihuai did not notice anything else and only said, All right, Jiao Jiao, I've learned a lot from Professor Hong recently. Thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, why would Professor Hong take me in as a student? Zihuai, you don't have to thank me. Many people have abandoned me during this period of time. Only you and my mother are on my side without hesitation. I should be the one thanking you. Hearing this, a trace of heartache flashed past Cheng Zihuai's eyes. He felt that Qin Youjiao had changed a lot. In the past, Jiao Jiao could occasionally be spoiled and willful. She would even argue with him, and he would often be so angry that he would have a cold war with her. But now, Jiao Jiao had matured a lot. Jiao Jiao, don't worry. Even without the Qin family, you are the only person I have set my mind on. A dark look flashed across Cheng Zihuai's eyes as he comforted her. Besides, how long can the Qin family protect Bei Yunji? Many people in the circle knew that the Shao family and the Qin family were not on good terms. And now, As the Xiao family grew stronger, the Qin family's situation became worse and worse. After regaining his senses, Qing Zihuai asked curiously, "By the way, Jiao Jiao, how do you know Professor Hong?" The light in Qin Yo Jiao's eyes flickered. "I don't know him, but my friend does. Last year, didn't I take a break from school and go to Country R? It's a friend I met during that time." "I see." Cheng Zihuai was surprised. Until school was over. Bei Yunj saw Ji Qing's message and did not go home. Instead, she asked the chauffeur to leave first and went to the cafe alone. However, on the way, she saw an old man in tattered clothes sitting by the roadside, fiddling with a laptop in his hand. Bei Yunj only glanced at him and saw the old man's slightly cloudy eyes staring fixedly at her. Chapter 460. Wait a minute. Bei Yunj glanced at him and found that his clothes were ragged, but his computer was well protected. The screen was cleaner than hers. She thought about it. Bei Yunj walked up to him and placed the remaining 700 yuan in front of him. "That's all I have. I have something to do, so I'll leave first." The old man was speechless. Did she think he was a scammer? Seeing that Bei Yunj was about to leave, the old man suddenly said, "Are you leaving just like that?" However, when Bei Yunj heard this, she felt that the old man was determined to blackmail her. She laughed and lazily rested her chin on her hand. She squatted in front of him patiently. "Sir, I'm just a student. Can we understand each other?" The old man was speechless. This little girl was so pretty. Why did she speak so infuriatingly? "Are you giving me this money?" The old man took the money and looked at her strangely. "Yes." Hearing this after a long while, the old man came to a conclusion. This girl's words were infuriating, but she was a good person. "Then I can't take it for free. Why don't I teach you how to use the computer?" The old man thought for a while and looked at her with disdain, as if he was being merciful. "Thank you. I'm in a hurry to go home and do my homework." With that, Bei Yunj stood up and patted the creases on her school skirt with a chuckle. Very soon, under the old man's gaze, she walked into a cafe. The old man was speechless. Weren't children nowadays too good at brushing people off too? "You're so young but you're so blind. Do you know what it means to have a pie fall from the sky?" The old man was so angry that he wanted to smash the computer. He cursed for a long time. Suddenly, a pair of clean white shoes appeared in front of him. A fat cat. "Do you want cake?" The old man looked up and saw Bei Yunj handing him a packed cake and coffee. After a long while, he took the cake and coffee and muttered, "You're not bad, kid." Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. "Not really. I just find you interesting." Usually, when she older older wanderers, she would at most give them some money. The old man stopped unwrapping the box and asked nervously, "What do you mean?" "Your laptop is not cheap." Bei Yunj glanced at his laptop leisurely. "And you're not from Country A, are you?" These words caused the old man's mind to become chaotic. This was the first time someone had asked him this question. "I'm from Country R, how did you find out?" the old man asked. After all, he actually looked like someone from Country A. "Your accent sounds strange." After Bei Yunj finished speaking, she was about to stand up and leave when she heard the old man's insistence. "You really don't want to learn computer science from me? I'm very powerful and Sir, I'm quite busy." Bei Yunj smiled. The old man was speechless. Was he being looked down upon by someone? Back then, so many people in Country R wanted to be his student. Now, even a high school student looked down on him? Thinking of this, the old man was angry and annoyed. He put the cake box aside and closed his eyes angrily. "You'll regret it." Unexpectedly, the beautiful girl in front of him said goodbye and really did not say anything. When he looked up, she was gone. At this moment, the old man almost wanted to curse. In the coffee shop, "I'm so sorry for being late." Ji Qing walked over quickly and said, "Thank you for helping me contact you last time." Bei Yunj paused. "You're welcome." Chapter 461. Ji Qing pinched the space between his eyebrows. His handsome face looked a little tired. It was obvious that he had put in a lot of effort into this case. "It's good that you found them. It'll be easy for them to return to the headquarters. Bei Yunj scooped a spoonful of cake and put it into her mouth. Ji Yiqing was speechless. What did she mean by it would be easy for them to return to the headquarters? Get someone to contact the Institute of Computational Technology in our nation. They have negotiated with our nation and will help to solve the problem of locating the gang's headquarters. After all, the Institute of Computational Technology was our nation's national institution. Compared to other people, our nation naturally trusted the researchers in their country. However, it was also a little difficult for them to understand why this group of immortals would suddenly come down to the mortal world to care about the country's affairs. Really? Ji Yiqing almost thought that he was hallucinating. Bei Yunj glanced at him and did not say a word. After a long while. However, Ji Yiqing's gaze on Bei Yunj gradually turned meaningful. Miss Bei. Bei Yunj looked up and saw Ji Yiqing's gaze. It was as if he had seen through everything. Hence, even the spoon that was digging into the cake stopped. Don't tell me you're, Ji Yiqing narrowed his eyes. Are you a good friend of mine? Bei Yunj put the cash under the teacup and stood up again. You can handle the aftermath of this matter properly. I'll take my leave first. With that, Bei Yunj left without looking back. Looking at Bei Yunj's back view, Ji Yiqing was also a little dazed. He did not expect this matter to be settled so quickly. Yun Cheng's First People's Hospital. Why are you here again? The man on the hospital bed had a low and magnetic voice. Even the smell of disinfectant in the air was mixed with an inexplicable sweet smell. The old man fanned his nose and said in disdain, "Are the nurses and female doctors too diligent?" There was a strong smell of perfume. It's a routine check. The man was good-looking and had deep eyebrows. However, his gaze was as calm as the Dead Sea and his thin lips were gently pursed. If one took a closer look, they would realize that the man was wearing a hospital gown. His left trouser leg was sunken and there was nothing on it. This man was handicapped. Come on, if it weren't for your face, how could the nurses be so diligent? The old man's clothes were ragged, but he was carrying an exquisite fruit basket and a bunch of roses wrapped in black paper. This also attracted the man's attention. Where did you get the money to buy a present? He chuckled. Don't talk about it. A very beautiful little girl thought I was a scammer. She gave me 700 yuan and left. Hearing this, the man also seemed to find it novel, and a low chuckle sounded softly. The old man looked at him for a while. I haven't heard you laugh like that in a long time, Xiangyan. The smile on Xiangyan's lips disappeared. Are you really not returning to country R? Those people in your family are not easy to deal with. They are probably trying to divide up your family property. The old man was silent for a moment and suddenly smiled. I suddenly don't want to give it to them anymore. Before this, he had indeed planned to let whoever wanted to take the family property. What do you mean? Xiangyan looked at him in surprise. Isn't it good to find a suitable successor? At this point, the old man thought of the little girl who didn't seem to be easy to deal with. You're really generous. Xiangyan couldn't help but smile. So, you're preparing to go back? I want to look for a successor here. At the same time, I'll get old Zhong to pull some strings. Hearing this, Xiangyan glanced at the old man. If the outside world knew that the Higgins family was looking for a successor, the situation would change. Chapter 462. You really do come up with something as you please. Xiangyan smiled silently. It's been too long since I've met someone interesting. The old man looked out of the window and smiled. At this moment, there was also a commotion at the Computing Institute. Zhong Lin called Marcus. Do you know that Nance came to Yunqing? Marcus did not seem to have expected Zhong Lin to mention this person. He was silent for a long time. He left a long time ago. The Higgins family has been in a mess for a long time. It's about the heir and the division of the family assets. Zhong Lin was silent for a while. Then do you know that he's preparing to choose an heir here? Is this old guy crazy? Marcus' body stiffened. Soon after, he was so shocked that he cursed. This Nance had traveled thousands of miles just to find a successor in Yunqing. Was it because the flowers in our nation weren't bright enough that he started to be infatuated with the flowers and plants overseas? I don't know what's wrong with him either. He's already asked me to help investigate the elites in the computing field below the age of 35. Zhong Shenglin couldn't help but hit the back of his head. He didn't even like Si Qingyan just now. Who else does he want? He thought that this guy wanted to go to heaven. Whatever. If he chose this condition, he wouldn't be able to find a successor even if half of his body was buried in the ground. Did Nance suffer some agitation at your place? I don't know about that. Zhong Shenglin's lips twitched. Anyway, don't spread this matter. Otherwise, who knows how much trouble it will cause. If we don't spread it, we won't be able to hide it for long. Many people know that Nance went to Yunqing this time. You're looking for the heir of the Higgins family with great fanfare. How can you not be targeted? Marcus chuckled. This was one of the 4 major families in our nation. 020 even the veteran members of our nation's Institute of Computational Technology were members of the research department that Higgins Corporation had split. Few people knew that Marcus was actually a researcher that Nance had brought along when he was young. This time, we're recruiting elites in the computing field in the name of a competition. Of course, we won't use Higgins' name. Zhong Shenglin continued. As for some outstanding juniors in the computing industry, I'll get Si Qingyan to invite them one by one. This was also to satisfy Nancy. Si Qingyan didn't even take a liking to her. This guy has high standards. I advise you not to waste your efforts. Marcus and Zhong Shenglin chatted for a while and both of them forgot about a person in the office. Evening. Bei Yunj had just returned to the old residence when she realized that the house was very quiet. She looked around and saw only Huashidu, who was sitting on the sofa and working. Upon seeing this scene, Bei Yunj suddenly remembered that she often saw this scene when she returned home from the Hua family. Brother! Bei Yunj greeted her and was about to go upstairs. Yunun, are you still angry with me? Bei Yunj was stunned for a moment before she turned to look at Huashidu. No. Bei Yunj rarely lost her temper. Even if she did, it would come and go quickly. This was a typical case of being too lazy to fuss over things. By the way, where are Grandpa and the rest? Bei Yunj asked. Grandpa went to visit a friend. As for the others, they should be busy. Hearing this, Bei Yunj glanced at Huashidu. She felt that Huashidu's way of calling him Grandpa was more natural than hers. Then I'll go upstairs first. Bei Yunj had just finished speaking when Huashidu put down his laptop before she could go up. Chapter 463. The moment he finished speaking. Before Bei Yunj could turn around and say anything, she suddenly heard a voice at the door. Yunj. Bei Yunj looked up and saw Jiqing walking in from the door. She did not notice Huashidu's expression either. Why are you here? Bei Yunj was a little surprised. You forgot to take your things. Jiqing handed her the book he had brought over. Listening to their conversation, those who did not know would think that the two of them had a good relationship in private. Bei Yunj could even forget to leave the book with Jiqing. But at this moment, Bei Yunj only noticed the thick computer book in Jiqing's hand and caught it instinctively. She said, Thank you. Jiqing chuckled. The cover of this book seems to be in a foreign language. There's no translation. After all, it was Bei Yunj's book, so Jiqing did not flip through it carelessly. However, he sized up the cover of the book. It was filled with obscure professional terms. I like to flip through it when I can't sleep. Bei Yunj nodded. The two of them seemed to be chatting happily. The man who was left out next to her had clear and handsome eyes. His expression was indifferent, but there was a hint of imperceptible coldness in them. His posture was lazy and cold, and he unconsciously licked the tip of his teeth as he looked at Jiqing with a faint smile. So, even Jiqing felt uneasy and turned to look at Huashidu instinctively. So Master Du is here too. In the beginning, when he was chatting with Bei Yunj and found out that Bei Yunj had returned to the Qin family's old mansion, he was still wondering if Master Du was really planning to become a vegetarian. However, he did not expect that in the blink of an eye, even Master Du would come to someone else's house in order to woo the little girl. He was not afraid that the young masters of the Qin family would hold a grudge against him. He was extraordinarily bold. It seems like young Master Ji wishes that I wasn't here. The man's tone was light and his pale-colored eyes were abstinent, but the corners of his upturned eyes were charming. However, Jiqing only felt some kind of danger lurking in this gaze. Master Du must be joking. How could I? Jiqing laughed dryly and suddenly thought of an idea to adjust the atmosphere. Isn't it time to eat? The man said calmly, Young Master Ji, if you want to eat, you can go back early. Jiqing, sure, it was a very straightforward order for him to leave. At this moment, how could Jiqing not tell that Huashidu found him an eyesore? Hence, Jiqing looked at Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj, who hadn't noticed anything, glanced at the two of them. It's still early for dinner. Jiqing put on a fake smile. Then you guys, Huashidu did not look at Jiqing. Instead, he reached out naturally and tidied Bei Yunj's messy hair. As if there was no one else around, he asked, Do you want to train with me? Huashidu thought that this child was only in her second year of high school, but he had never seen her train. If she reached the third year of high school, it would be easy for her body to deteriorate. Therefore, after Bei Yunj changed her clothes, she led her men to the garden behind the villa. However, to Huashidu's surprise, Jiqing was so thick-skinned that he actually pestered him and followed him. Master Du, we haven't seen each other in a long time. Why are you so unwilling to see me? Jiqing asked with a smile. Huashidu glanced at the little girl running on the other side of the lake and turned around. He said carelessly, When did you become so familiar with my child? Chapter 464. Hearing this, Jiqing raised an eyebrow. He did not expect Huashidu to ask him so straightforwardly. Of course it's a private matter. Didn't you ask Yunj? Jiqing smiled unconsciously. These words were inexplicably ambiguous. Gradually, Huashidu stopped in his tracks. When he looked up, his pale-colored eyes were filled with danger. Jiqing. However, in the next second, before Huashidu could continue speaking, he suddenly heard a voice not far away. Brother! Huashidu glanced sideways and saw a bright and overly beautiful girl standing on the bridge. She leaned her hands lazily against the stone railing and rested her cheek on one hand as she looked at him with curved eyes. I'm thirsty. To Jiqing's surprise, after Bei Yunj said this, Huashidu really went back to get water for Bei Yunj. It's my first time seeing Master Du dote on someone so much. Seeing Bei Yunj come down from the bridge, Jiqing chuckled. Bei Yunj only used the towel around her neck to wipe her sweat. Her tone was casual and casual. Jiqing, don't make my brother angry. Jiqing raised an eyebrow before his eyes met Bei Yunj's beautiful and clear eyes. You know that Shidu is unhappy even though you're so far away? Jiqing was interested. He originally thought that Master Du's love was one-sided, but now it seemed like that was not the case. Isn't it obvious? Bei Yunj did not pay much attention to the meaning in Jiqing's words. He only saw Huashidu return not far away and immediately walked over. After the break, Jiqing watched as Bei Yunj left and walked to Huashidu's side. He could not help sighing. 361 reading. Master Du, isn't your little girl too considerate? A girl who looked like she was quite troublesome was quite enviable when she was protective. Huashidu's eyes darkened. He roughly knew what his little girl had done after he went to get water. He smirked. Really? Jiqing glanced at Huashidu's expression and was a little interested. You don't seem very curious why I said that. If you know something, you won't be curious. Huashidu's tone was light as he looked up at him. Shouldn't you be leaving? Jiqing. So she didn't think that he had the ability to steal her, she just didn't like him being an eyesore. All right, I won't be an eyesore anymore. Jiqing threw the bottle of mineral water into the trash can and looked at him again. He smiled and said, But as a friend, I still have to remind you that you have to keep a close eye on this person. This was especially true for young girls. Their fondness for him was passionate and undisguised. But it comes and goes quickly. Young Master Ji has fallen in love once. You have quite a deep understanding. Huashidu laughed slowly. Jiqing, was this the same as stabbing wherever it hurt? Bei Yunj didn't run for long before she sat down on the grass and scanned through the documents. I don't want to. The next moment, a figure stood in front of her, blocking the dim yellow light of the street lamp. Bei Yunj looked up. The man in front of her curled his lips imperceptibly. Then, he squatted down lightly and pinched her bright and fair face as a punishment. His low voice was filled with a magnetic smile and teasing, as if it could easily stir people's hearts. No wonder brother couldn't find you. So you were slacking off here. Bei Yunj, on the asphalt road. Chapter 465. This man's stamina was quite good. After running for so long, he didn't even catch his breath. 10 minutes later, Bei Yunj no longer had the patience to continue running. Then, she tugged at the man's clothes in front of her. Brother, it's time to eat. Bei Yunj had been sitting in the research lab or sleeping in the classroom for too long. Indeed, she couldn't keep up. Yun, your physical fitness isn't good. I'll give you some time to catch your breath. Why don't you run later? Hoshidu looked at the little girl in front of him. Her eyes were black and bright. She clearly didn't look tired. Her cheeks were still pink, but she was already shouting for him to stop. What a delicate child. Who would think? When Bei Yunj heard this, she looked at him faintly. You're the one who's panting. The man was slightly taken aback for no reason. Then, his light and unhurried eyebrows curved, revealing a hint of a smile and laziness. His sexy Adam's apple bobbed, and he couldn't help but laugh softly. It was a little hoarse. After adjusting his emotions, Hoshidu leaned closer to her. His magnetic voice was light and flirtatious, as if it was teasing the wind beside her ear. It was extremely ambiguous. Okay then Yun, come closer. Let me breathe for you? Even Bei Yunj couldn't help but stiffen. Her ears felt as if they had been scalded. Was this man the reincarnation of a vixen? You. Bei Yunj's bright and lazy eyes were filled with an indescribable look. For the first time in her life, Bei Yunj was speechless. Looking at Bei Yunj's expression, the man's lazy voice dragged out, as if he was blatantly seducing her. His deep voice was filled with a bewitching magnetism. Yun, you really don't want to hear it? Bei Yunj's thoughts were in a mess, and she didn't notice a strange emotion in her heart. She was almost seduced into nodding in agreement. I'm going to eat. Bei Yunj walked around the man and walked forward without looking back. Not long after. When she returned to the living room, Bei Yunj subconsciously took a deep breath, but her racing heart still could not calm down for a long time. To hell with it. Bei Yunj couldn't help muttering to herself. Why was she bewitched every time she met Hoshidu? Hengda. Year 2 Class 7. Bei Yunj was holding a glass of milk in one hand, a plastic bag in the other, and a croissant in her other hand. She looked particularly elegant as she ate. Lu Yuanxi could not help asking, Yunj, you've been eating croissants for almost a week, right? And the most ridiculous thing was that every time Bei Yunj came in, there was no student on duty to deduct her points. Wasn't his luck too good? For days. Bei Yunj put the milk on the table and said slowly. Lu Yuanxi couldn't be bothered to say anything. He turned around and started crazily doing his homework. After a while. Master Pei, can I borrow your math homework? I didn't write anything. Lu Yuanxi's hand paused. He couldn't help but look at her and ask, what are you doing now? Was the math teacher not cruel enough? I like to eat hot food. Bei Yunj slowly finished the last small piece of croissant in her hand. Then she took out a croissant from the plastic bag. For some reason, Lu Yuanxi blurted out, is it really that delicious? Bei Yunj generously gave Lu Yuanxi one. Lu Yuanxi glanced at Bei Yunj with some distrust before he picked it up and took a bite. So, in the first period of math class, Bei Yunj and Lu Yuanxi stood neatly at the door as punishment. Lu Yuanxi. The two of you who share the same table are really good buddies. You don't do your homework, but you still remember to eat breakfast? Chapter 466. Don't come back if you can't solve this question. The math teacher angrily threw out a sentence and returned to the classroom. At this moment, Bei Yunj and Lu Yuanxi were leaning against the railing, doing their homework in unison. Master Pei. Lu Yuanxi suddenly shouted. Bei Yunj did not even look up. What's the matter? Lu Yuanxi leaned over and asked softly. Where did you buy the croissant? Didn't he dislike it at first? It's next to the supermarket on Nanhua Road. It's owned by an auntie. After Bei Yunj finished speaking calmly, she added, She's a pretty auntie. Lu Yuanxi. Actually, Lu Yuanxi could already guess which shop it was after hearing Bei Yunj's words. After all, the boys had been spreading the rumor for a long time that there was a shop on Nanhua Road and that the auntie was very pretty. But he did not expect Bei Yunj to be someone who valued beauty. Just as Lu Yuanxi was deep in thought, Bei Yunj suddenly put down her pen and said, I'm done. Lu Yuanxi could not help but look up at her. These questions haven't been published yet, right? Really? I don't know. With that said, Bei Yunj wanted to leave, but was stopped by Lu Yuanxi. Master Bei, can you do me a favor? Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. The questions are different. I can't help. The mathematics teacher had specially given them 2 different sets of questions to prevent them from borrowing from each other. I'll buy you croissants for a month. Bei Yunj did not say anything when she heard this. Lu Yuanxi took a deep breath and said, 2 months. Keep a lookout. Bei Yunj took over Lu Yuanxi's practice questions. 139 Reading Network. Lu Yuanxi. Nanhua Road was under repair, so they had to take a detour to get there. They had to walk for at least 10 minutes. Just as Lu Yuanxi was wondering if he had made a loss, Bei Yunj threw the practice questions into his arms in less than 10 minutes. He walked into the classroom again. Lu Yuanxi was stunned for a moment. Then he lowered his head to take a look and realized that the handwriting was similar to his. Was Bei Yunj even human? She wrote for him for 7 to 8 minutes in exchange for him running errands for 2 months? So fast? The math teacher was a little suspicious, but after flipping through Bei Yunj's questions, he couldn't find any mistakes. Suddenly, the mathematics teacher thought of Yunqing University. He heard that the mathematics professor of Yunqing University seemed to like Bei Yunj. He had originally thought that it was just a rumor, but now, it seemed to be quite credible. I've never taught you the content of these questions, the math teacher said. My brother taught me, Bei Yunj said calmly. Immediately, the 3 young masters of the Qin family appeared in everyone's minds. Wasn't Bei Yunj's life too good? Her Prince Charming was personally tutoring her. How bad could it be? The math teacher nodded. Not bad. Do well in this monthly exam and try to get into the top 50. Hearing this, Bei Yunj paused for a moment and glanced at the math teacher. But when the audience heard this, they couldn't help but laugh. Ling Jiwei said sarcastically, Top 50? Teacher, isn't it a pipe dream to get into the top 50 from the bottom 20 in our school? But didn't Bei Yunj come in first in the physics competition? Someone couldn't help whispering. Ling Jiwei hid the gloom in her eyes and said sarcastically, Yes, she came in first in the competition. Chapter 467. Everyone in the class heard Ling Jiwei's words clearly. I've asked my uncle. There are only 2 people who can get full marks in the competition for decades. One is Professor Si Qingyan, who is now working at Yunqing University, and the other is you. A dark glint flashed across Bei Yunj's eyes. No one could tell what she was thinking. Is that so? Professor Si Qingyan was the top scorer in the National College entrance examination back then and got first place with 739 points. The second place was less than Professor Si Qingyan by more than 10 points. Ling Jiwei's tone was arrogant, as if the person she was talking about was herself. Of course, when you hear this, you will think that this score is nothing. But you have to know that the average score of Professor Si Qingyan's National College entrance examination was a failure. When everyone heard this, a thought appeared in their minds. It was the college entrance examination in 2007. Everyone still remembered the college entrance examination in 2007. This was not because of anything else, but because the questions of the college entrance examination that year had been leaked, so they had officially started to use backup scripts. However, who would have thought that the backup scripts would be like purgatory? Almost all the university's cutoff scores had dropped by dozens of points. When they came back to their senses, everyone was also shocked. They were even afraid that they would encounter such a terrible thing. However, gradually, everyone looked at Bei Yunj with more probing and suspicion because of Ling Jiwei's words. Si Qingyan was only in his 20s, yet he could become a professor at Yun University. Everyone had heard of his heaven-defying results along the way. But what about Bei Yunj? Other than this physics competition, were there any other results that could be taken out? Student Ling seems to have always been very concerned about me. Bei Yunj's lips curled up. There was no guilt or fear in her eyes. I also don't want Hengda to have a morally corrupt student. Ling Jiwei sneered. The math teacher frowned. Ling Jiwei, Bei Yunj, if you can get into the top 50, whatever happens to you has nothing to do with me. Bei Yunj interrupted her slowly, her tone still lazy. After all, I still remember what happened to student Ling on the field last time. Bei Yunj. Ling Jiwei was furious. She did not expect that Bei Yunj would dare to bring up this matter. Student Ling, it's good for everyone if you don't do things that lower your intelligence. Bei Yunj said slowly and then looked at the math teacher. Teacher, can I go back to my seat now? Go. The math teacher nodded and gave Ling Jiwei a warning look. Ling Jiwei gritted her teeth and glanced at Bei Yunj viciously. Her hand that was holding the pen clenched into a fist. Didn't Bei Yunj take advantage of the fact that her homeroom teacher doted on her and Lu Yuanxi and Chu Zhixing treated her well? She wanted to see how many people would pay attention to this woman once they saw her true colors. After class, Bei Yunj was called to the office. At first, Bei Yunj thought it was about math class, but she didn't expect Mr. Wen to look for her just to talk about the Hengda exchange competition. Teacher, I'm not free. Bei Yunj rejected him decisively without any hesitation. You don't have to attend every class. Just come once for math or physics. How about we make up the numbers? Mr. Wen was indeed in a hurry. Otherwise, he wouldn't have looked for Bei Yunj. Mr. Wen, I don't like to participate in this kind of competition. Bei Yunj's tone was casual, but her attitude was firm. Forget it. He didn't have much hope for her anyway. Mr. Wen sighed. Okay, then call Chu Zhixing over. Okay. Bei Yunj's lips curved. Chapter 468. At the same time. At the Computing Institute. Why are you in such a hurry to organize a competition? Si Qingyan asked in confusion. He had been counting the number of participants since yesterday. What else can I do? If it weren't for the fact that you weren't fancied, would I have gone through so much trouble? Zhong Shenglin chuckled. When Si Qingyan heard this, he immediately reacted. Is it because Nance wants to organize a competition? What else? Zhong Shenglin glanced at him and said faintly. That's true. How can we get so much money as a bonus? Si Qingyan nodded. Zhong Shenglin was speechless. Was this brat looking for a scolding again? Before Zhong Shenglin could find fault with him, Si Qingyan paused. After seeing the name of the applicant, he couldn't help but sneer. This Hong Chongzhen is really shameless. Hong Chongzhen actually let Cheng Zihuai participate in our Computing Institute's competition. Cheng Zihuai is that in turn? Zhong Shenglin had some impression of him. That's right. This is too strange. Does Hong Chongzhen lack this bit of money? Why did he let Cheng Zihuai participate in our competition? Si Qingyan raised his eyebrows. You have to know that Cheng Zihuai is his personal student now. What other reason could there be? He must have received the news. Zhong Shenglin was calm and not anxious at all. Hearing this, Si Qingyan froze. He received the news? Isn't he aiming for the position of the successor? 27 kk, so what if he's here? I didn't say that he could be the heir for the first place reward. Zhong Shenglin chuckled. Hong Chongzhen, this old thing, had scolded Ger in public and still wanted his student to compete for the position of heir? Dream on. Nance doesn't even like you. Are you afraid that he will like Cheng Zihuai? Zhong Shenglin glanced at him. Si Qingyan was speechless. There was no need to mention him. Does an heir have to focus on computing skills? Si Qingyan was curious. Of course not for the other heirs, but Higgins Group is special. This is a group that started with scientific research. Wang Lin clicked his tongue. The ability of the future heir will directly affect the lifeline of the Higgins family. Wang Lin slowly picked up the food in the hot pot with his chopsticks. You see, Nancy has only left the Higgins family for 10 years, and the Higgins family has fallen to such a state. However, more than 10 years ago, among the 4 great clans, only the Higgins clan was not a century-old distinguished clan. Although they did not have much wealth, they were still at the peak of their power. What did he rely on? It was Nancy's irreplaceable scientific research technology. But now, after Nancy left, the Higgins family had been going downhill. From the original second son to the current third and fourth sons, they're almost officially leaving the 4 great clans. But scientific research alone shouldn't be able to change the current situation of the Higgins family, right? Xianxia said. Internal strife and external chaos was the current situation of the Higgins family. If Nancy hadn't left behind so many things, the Higgins family probably wouldn't have survived for 10 years. That's right. No matter where the heir is, methods and connections are very important. That's why I find it strange too. What's wrong with Nancy? He must find a young heir. Wang Lin ate a meatball and said slowly. Who knew? The door was suddenly kicked open. Old Zhong, what do you mean? Am I crazy? Chapter 469. Initially, he just wanted to know what Wang Lin was doing in the office. The door was closed. However, he did not expect this old man to speak ill of him while cooking hot pot. Sinister. Hypocrite. Wang Lin's bowl stopped. He did not expect to be caught red-handed. However, the next moment, Wang Lin calmly stuffed the freshly cooked beef roll into his mouth. Isn't this the truth? How can I not know how many talents there are in Yun Cheng's computing field? You don't even like Xianxia. With that, Wang Lin hurriedly added another bowl and chopsticks. Nance, come, let's eat together. Nance's expression did not look too good, but smelling the fragrance of the hot pot, he gradually gave in. He reached for the bowl and chopsticks. I'm not done with you. Don't think I can forgive you. Nance's face was cold, but he quickly picked up the tripe that Wang Lin had just cooked and ate it. Wang Lin, who knew that he was in the wrong, did not care about this. Besides, actually, most people did not know that when Wang Lin was studying at Neely University, Nance was his professor. Even so, Nance was only 6 years older than Wang Lin. I say, quickly change your clothes. Otherwise, when the security guards change next time, let's see if you can get in. Wang Lin glanced at Nance in disdain. He was the head of the Higgins family and the former principal of Neely University after all. How could he make himself look so sloppy? Who would have thought that this was the most feared existence in the scientific research community back then? I don't care. Nance snorted. Wang Lin sneered. Yes, I've never seen you care in my life. He was the most troublesome person in the scientific research field. He was a classic example of someone who did not care about his life. Back when Nance was still the principal of Neely University, because of the change in our nation's policy, the interaction between overseas teachers and students was reduced. This guy directly filed an administrative lawsuit. In other words, he sued the government of our nation. What was even more shocking was that he had actually won the fight. Because Neely University's law school was one of the best in the world. Not really. This time, I must find an heir, Nancy said vaguely while eating hot pot. Have you taken a fancy to someone's successor? Are you too embarrassed to ask? Wang Lin sat down and stuffed a mouthful of beef into his mouth. The wonderful taste on his taste buds made him smile. He pointed at Nancy with his chopsticks as if he was happy without any worries. Tell me which family's successor you've taken a fancy to. I'll secretly get him back for you. When Nancy heard this, she put down her bowl and chopsticks sadly. Sigh, actually, I've really taken a liking to one. But he's just a high school student. Hearing this, Wang Lin did not react at first, but Xianxia seemed to have suddenly thought of someone. The way he looked at Nancy became subtle. High school student? Nance was a little surprised that Xianxia would suddenly interrupt at this time. Yes, she gave me 700 yuan. She was afraid that I would cheat her. Si Qingyan was speechless. Zhong Lin, where did this person come from? Her brain circuit was so strange? Then it's even easier. You can go and learn. Find her in school. Old master, and in turn will come and look for me later. Eat faster, Si Qingyan suddenly interrupted. The Computing Institute was explicitly prohibited from eating and drinking in the institute, except for the dining hall specially configured in the Computing Institute. However, those people would never have thought that their director was already cooking hot pot in his office. Chapter 470. I know. You're so naggy. After Zhong Lin and Nance finished the hot pot, they hurriedly opened the curtains to let in the smell. After sitting back at his desk, Zhong Lin glanced at Nance and said slowly, "Anyway, we're organizing a competition for you, but whether you can find an heir you like is still up in the air. You don't have to worry. I'll come and take a look on the day of the competition," Nance said. "Okay, then remember to change your clothes." Hearing Zhong Lin's words, Nancy was just about to refute when he heard Zhong Lin's words. Zhong Lin looked at him gloatingly and said, "Otherwise, whether he is willing to be your heir or not is another matter." Nance was speechless. The day before the third round of the International Musicians Association selection, Mr. Qin pinched between his eyebrows. He did not expect to see Qin Youjiao and an unfamiliar girl the moment he returned home. Youjiao? When Mr. Qin turned to look at Mrs. Qin, he immediately understood what was going on. However, Mr. Qin's feelings were very complicated at this moment. He did not express much intimacy with his daughter whom he had not seen for a long time. The last time at the old mansion, Qin Youjiao had unintentionally revealed that Bei Yunj had gotten first place in the competition by cheating. His memory was still fresh. However, although the Jiao in his impression was spoiled and occasionally willful, she was pure and kind. She was considerate of her parents and friendly with her classmates. But now, why was she treating Ge like this? "Dad, you're back. I'm going to participate in the third round of the International Musicians Association's selection tomorrow and wanted to see you." Qin Youjiao went forward and said with a smile. At this moment, the girl beside her also said politely, "Hello, Uncle Qin. I'm Ling Jiwei from Year 2 Class 7. I'm Jiao's good friend." Mr. Qin finally realized and could not help asking, "Are you in the same class as Gu?" Ling Jiwei did not expect Mr. Qin to ask this. Ling Jiwei immediately changed the topic and said with a smile, "It's difficult to get a spot in the International Musicians Association. Among her peers, only Jiao has entered the second round. In the future, if Jiao can enter, she will definitely be able to help Uncle a lot." Hearing that the topic had shifted to Qin Youjiao, Mr. Qin, he did not know what to say. Seeing this, Qin Youjiao suddenly asked, "Dad, are you angry with me because I told you that Yunj got first place in the exam?" "I'm not angry." Mr. Qin looked at his daughter whom he had doted on for nearly 20 years and sighed. However, he still felt a little uncomfortable. What happened? Hearing this, Ling Jiwei could not help but look at Mr. Qin and Qin Youjiao in confusion. However, it didn't take long for Ling Jiwei to roughly guess the reason. Bei Yunj was really a jinx. She had already snatched away Yu Jiao's brothers, and now she was trying to bewitch Yu Jiao's father. Uncle Qin, Yu Jiao has never bullied Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj, on the other hand, slapped Yu Jiao in front of so many people at school. Ling Jiwei turned to look at Mrs. Qin and said, "Auntie saw this too." Hearing this, Mr. Qin's gaze changed and he immediately looked at Qin Youjiao. "Jiao, really?" There were still tears at the corners of Qin Youjiao's eyes as she bit her lip. "I've already said that Jiao can only be bullied." Mrs. Qin walked over, her tone filled with gloom and anger towards Bei Yunj. "She's just relying on the fact that she's the legitimate eldest young miss of the Qin family to hit Jiao in front of me." Ling Jiwei immediately agreed. "Annie is right. And the results of the competition. Uncle Qin, do you think a person with poor results in the past can suddenly get full marks?" Chapter 471. Mr. Qin did not answer directly, but he still had some doubts about this matter. The difficulty of the national competition was obvious. There were first places every year, but how many people could get full marks? Uncle, Yo Jiao just doesn't want you to be deceived. You can't be so distant and delicate just because you favor Bei Yunj. With that said, Mrs. Qin's voice sounded from the side. Did you hear that? Even a child can see it clearer than you. Bei Yunj was first? Did the entire Qin family not know about Bei Yunj's results back then? How could she have the ability to get first? No matter what, Mrs. Qin did not believe it. But Gulu doesn't seem like someone who would lie. Mr. Qin clenched his fists. At the thought of Bei Yunj's distant gaze, his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. Qin Ting, that's enough. Don't you know what Bei Yunj is like? If she really has this ability, why didn't she show it back then? Mrs. Qin placed the black teapot on the table heavily. She laughed coldly. Do you not believe it, or do you not dare to believe it? Mom, that's enough. Qin Yojiao pulled Mrs. Qin back. Look, when we quarrel, who's the one who's going to advise us? Bei Yunj is your daughter, but think about it carefully. If you die in front of her one day, will she take another look at you? You! Mr. Qin glared at Mrs. Qin, but he could not say a word. However, Ling Jiwei, who was beside him, did not expect the Qin family to be in such a situation. Mr. Qin was wavering. Only Mrs. Qin stood on Qin Yojiao's side. Dad, I have something on. I'll get going first, Qin Yojiao suddenly said. Hearing this, Mr. Qin's body froze and he looked at Qin Yojiao. Then you, take good care of yourself. Jiao Jiao doesn't care about anything else. With that said, Qin Yojiao pulled Ling Jiwei and left without looking back. This scene caused Mr. Qin's body to stiffen. His heart began to waver again. Jiao Jiao, what do you have at this time? Didn't you ask me to help you? Ling Jiwei found it strange. Why did Qin Yojiao give up halfway? At this moment, the moment Qin Yojiao came out, the forbearance and sadness on her face disappeared. Instead, there was an inexplicable smile on her lips. There's no need for that. You've done what you can. At this time, she didn't need to keep acting pitiful in front of Mr. Qin. On the contrary, doing this would only make Mr. Qin regret it even more. In other words, it would destroy the trust that Mr. Qin had just built for Bei Yunj. Hearing Qin Yojiao say this, Ling Jiwei only seemed to understand a little. Suddenly, Wei Wei, thank you for today. I have to go back first. Be careful on the road. Qin Yojiao said gently. Why are you being so polite with me? Ling Jiwei's tone was full of disgust for Bei Yunj. That kind of person is difficult to deal with. If you have any difficulties, don't shoulder them alone. I know, Wei Wei. In the car. Did you bring Ling Jiwei back to see Auntie Qin? Qin Yojiao bit her lip and only nodded. However, the moment Cheng Zihuai saw Qin Yojiao like this, he immediately felt that something was wrong. Not long after, Jiao Jiao, are your eyes red? No, sand got into my eyes. Qin Yojiao rubbed her eyes, but when these words landed in Cheng Zihuai's ears, his eyes turned cold. It's Bei Yunj again, isn't it? All right, Zihuai, don't you still have to prepare for the computing competition? Don't worry about me. Seeing that Qin Yojiao was pretending to be happy despite being wronged, anger rose in Cheng Zihuai's heart. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind, and he sneered. How can I be the only one participating in this competition? With that said, Cheng Zihuai turned on his computer and entered a command that Qin Yojiao could not understand. About half an hour later, Qin Yojiao saw that Cheng Zihuai was actually participating in the competition and had signed up for Bei Yunj. Chapter 472. After Qin Yojiao regained her senses, she said, Zihuai, you signing Bei Yunj up? That's right. Cheng Zihuai's tone was mocking as he said coldly, didn't she say that she likes computers? Then this time, I'll give her a chance. Zihuai, aren't you too amazing? I didn't even understand how you did it just now. Qin Yojiao flattered him on the surface, but she was gloating in her heart. So what if Bei Yunj had been in the limelight recently? Cheng Zihuai still hated her so much. As for this competition organized by the Computing Institute, she heard from Zihuai that the participants were all relatively young top talents in the computing field. If Bei Yunj went over, wouldn't she be mocked? I hacked into the computer of the form teacher of Class 7. Although it took a lot of time, it was worth it to teach Bei Yunj a lesson. During this period of time, although Hong Chongjin had not taught him personally, his senior brothers and sisters were very good to him and taught him a lot. Zihuai, you're so capable. I believe you can definitely get first place in the competition. A faint smile appeared on Qing Zihuai's lips, but he suddenly remembered Jianxi. His eyes darkened. If Jianxi was here, this competition might be troublesome. Si Qingyan, who was sorting out the information in the Computing Institute, stopped holding the mouse. He looked at the name of the new application. Name, Bei Yunj, 19 Computing Self-Evaluation. ACI Qingyan was speechless. So, Si Qingyan took a deep breath and looked at Zhong Shenglin, who was sitting on the sofa beside him. Old Zhong, look at this competition. Didn't I say that you'll be responsible for this? If you think she's not bad, can't you just stay? Si Qingyan was speechless. Sure, you said it yourself. Si Qingyan glanced at Zhong Shenglin meaningfully before looking at Bei Yunj's information. What exactly was this ancestor trying to do here? It couldn't be for this few million, right? As someone who had won a 10 billion yuan project, he wouldn't let go of this bit of money? Bei Yunj, who was working on a project at home, suddenly heard a vibration. He opened it and saw that it was a notification. Institute of Computing, Miss Bei Yunj, please go to the Institute of Computing to participate in the competition in 3 days. Bei Yunj snorted and threw the phone onto the bed, too lazy to look at it. These days, they dared to send any kind of scam text messages. It was already late at night. Bei Yunj did not stop what she was doing. She only took off her silver-rimmed glasses when she heard a knock on the door. Open the door. What she saw was a man with a tall and straight posture. You're still awake? The man seemed to have known that Bei Yunj was still awake. Soon, Bei Yunj herself didn't notice that her eyes were slightly red as she had been focused on the project for the past 2 days. Grandpa's birthday banquet is in a few days. Do you want to buy some gifts? Hua Shidu suddenly asked. I haven't decided what to buy yet. Bei Yunj had a headache when he heard about this. Choosing a gift was the hardest thing to do. There's an auction on Sunday. Shall I take you there? Bei Yunj said without hesitation, okay. It would be best if they could buy something that old Master Lin liked at the auction. Then go to sleep now. Don't make brother unhappy. Hua Shidu's thin red lips curled up as he reached out lazily and rubbed his fingertips against her cheek. The faint warmth made Bei Yunj inexplicably think of the last time when the man approached her and breathed into her ear. Chapter 473. Bei Yunj took a step back. Brother, don't keep seducing me like this. Hearing this, the man probably didn't expect the young lady to be so direct. He couldn't help but chuckle softly. But in the next moment, the man's eyes darkened even more. It was a little hard to tell, as if he was blatantly seducing her. His posture was frivolous. How did I seduce you? Bei Yunj was speechless. Don't you know how you seduced me? Looking at this man's cynical and deliberately teasing look, Bei Yunj smiled and took another step back. In the next second, then he quickly closed the door. Looking at the young lady's angry look, the man's lips curled up lazily. His pair of clear peach blossom eyes were especially seductive. He knocked on the door. His low and magnetic voice was lazy, with a hint of a smile. It was almost imperceptible. Little princess, good night. The next day. It happened to be the 3rd round of the International Musicians Association selection. Bei Yunj sent a message to the International Musicians Association at the last minute and decided to go over to take a look. Jinding Building. Arn, Wen is coming over to take a look at the selection. Arrange for someone to go down and pick her up. Jin Jiheng was very excited. He didn't expect Yen to come to the 3rd round of the selection. Ever since he spoke to Yen on the phone last time, he had been listening to Yun's songs. As expected of the person that old Master Du was willing to open up 2 more slots to get. She's here. Arn paused. Jin Jiheng didn't notice his nervousness. Yes, I've already told her the address. Get our people to remember to go down and pick her up. Arnie's expression didn't look too good. He tried his best to suppress the panic in his heart. All right. He had taken a lot of benefits from others in charge of the International Musicians Association's recruitment this time. And he had already decided who to give the 2 slots to. But if Yun suddenly interfered, wouldn't he offend someone if he couldn't handle these matters well? He had to think of a way. Arn suddenly got up and walked towards the stairwell that few people came and went. Bei Yunj arrived at the Jinding building and didn't see anyone coming to pick her up. She could only wait in the hall. Who knew, just as Bei Yunj took out her phone, someone suddenly grabbed her arm. Why are you still here? An honest-looking woman sized up Bei Yunj, who was wearing a black baseball cap. She was wearing a black t-shirt inside, a red and white striped shirt outside, and a pair of loose jeans. She looked casual and beautiful, and her languid and flirtatious temperament was extremely prominent. But it wasn't appropriate to dress like this, was it? Come with me. The chubby woman dragged Bei Yunj up to the 2nd floor. Isn't it the 12th floor? Bei Yunj asked after a moment of hesitation. The fat woman chuckled. Do you think those vampires are willing to spend so much money? 12 floors? The rent of the Jinding building increased according to the number of floors. What a joke. Bei Yunj was silent for a moment, then picked up the black mask and put it back on. Did you get the wrong person? How is that possible? Black hat, red clothes, long hair. You're the only one in the entire hall who's dressed like this. The fat woman clicked her tongue and sized up Bei Yunj. You have a good temperament, but you're dressed too casually. The show was about a female group's debut. The artistes who came today were all competing with each other. This one was easy to worry about. She was dressed as if she was going out for a casual stroll. P.S. I don't seem to have updated much these few days. After I sort out the outline, I'll see how much I can make up for you all overnight. Pinch. Chapter 474. Bei Yunj felt that it was strange. Did she need to dress up so grandly to watch the audition? But before Bei Yunj could speak, she heard the fat lady say, Are you ready? Bei Yunj said, I should be ready. Although she did not know what she needed to prepare for the audition. That's good. The fat lady took a deep breath and brought her to the 2nd floor. Bei Yunj looked around and saw many good-looking girls. Why are they all girls? Bei Yunj asked. She remembered that there were not many girls left in the 3rd round and they were all older. The fat lady took a deep breath and looked at Bei Yunj with a fake smile. Do you need me to find you 2 handsome lads? Bei Yunj was speechless. Were all the staff members of the International Musicians Association so unreasonable? The 2 of them, who were not on the same page, walked to a door. Go in. After the fat lady finished speaking, she noticed that Bei Yunj was wearing a mask and a hat. Her face was almost hidden. Was she planning to start a new trend in talent shows? She was here to join a girl group and she had taken good care of her looks and privacy. You'd better take it off quickly. The fat lady reached out, wanting to take it off for Bei Yunj. But very quickly, Bei Yunj grabbed her hand and smiled lazily. No need. I'll go in like this. Sorry to trouble you. Upon finishing her words, Bei Yunj pushed the door open with one hand and walked in. The fat lady looked at Bei Yunj's back view in a daze. Don't say it. Just this girl's pair of eyes was enough to make her famous. At this very moment, Bei Yunj, who opened the door, was deep in thought. Looking at the surrounding lights and cameras, she felt that something was amiss. Why did the International Musicians Association have so many fancy things? Are you ready? A young man pointed to the instruments around him and revealed a warm smile. You can use all of these. Another man wearing a red hat asked curiously, Aren't you going to take off your mask? I won't. After Bei Yunj finished speaking, she glanced at the musical instruments around her and asked, Do I have to play these too? Tutor? The production team? He seemed to be a normal person. Why was he so arrogant the moment he entered the arena? He wasn't even willing to show off his talent? Why don't you put on a performance? The young man with the sunny appearance spoke again. Bei Yunj frowned and could only look at the piano. At this time, the bullet screen in the live stream was flooded with comments. Isn't this player a bit strange? Isn't he too fond of attracting attention? I'm speechless. Is it because her professional skills are too good that she's willing to perform without going on stage? There's actually such a person. I hope our Jojo doesn't choose such a person. She's probably a young lady with a terrible temper. I'm convinced. Can anyone participate in the competition? Look at what she's wearing, she's not even willing to take off her mask. A normal person is acting like a big shot? Don't you think that even if she doesn't take off her mask and hat, this person seems to be very good looking? I don't know about her looks, but her legs are long and straight. She's a famous product. Awesome. Why do I feel that this young lady seems to be unaware of the situation? Let's play the piano then. Bei Yunj frowned and casually strummed the piano keys with her fingertips. Afterward, before the people in the bullet screen could say that Bei Yunj was pretending, the piano suddenly sounded. Chapter 475. The netizens who had just heard Qin Youjiao's performance were already fed up. They found it boring when more than 10 contestants came to play. So, just as Bei Yunj was choosing the piano, there were already comments saying that Bei Yunj was overestimating herself. But who would have thought? As soon as this person sat down, her slender and pretty fingers moved across the black and white piano keys. The hands of the netizens holding their phones froze. Even the mentors who were evaluating the contestants looked at this scene in disbelief. Bei Yunj looked down, but her fingers were dancing on the piano dazzlingly. Whether it was her piano skills or the song she was completing, it made people have goosebumps. They thought that she was an arrogant newbie, but they did not expect her to be a god-level big boss, until the end. Whether it was inside or outside the venue, everyone seemed to have lost their souls. When Bei Yunj was playing just now, their emotions were completely stirred by the song. They never had goosebumps. Was she King here to choose a girl group? Was she really not going to consider the International Musicians Association upstairs? Bei Yunj asked impatiently, "Is it done?" Yes. Several mentors were shocked and even wanted to give up their seats. It was not appropriate for this person to stand in the contestant's position. Then let's rate her, another mentor said. I'll give her A, one of the mentors said with a trembling voice. I'll give her a 2. Suddenly, Bei Yunj smiled, but there was no warmth in her eyes. You're giving me a rating? The atmosphere immediately turned cold. The comments were flooding the screen crazily. Haha, this girl is so arrogant. I love her. Sister, please forgive me. I'll help you debut. Boo-hoo, this girl is so fierce. I almost thought she entered the wrong door. Her aura is too strong. CK, what a great contestant. Our Jojo is so scared. I'm impressed. So what if she plays the piano? Why is her temper so bad? At the latest. That's right. Do you know how to respect people? However, at this moment, a girl wearing a black beret, a red short-sleeved shirt, and a pair of shorts with suspenders hurried in through the door. I'm sorry, mentors. I'm Huang Momo. I'm a little late. The mentors were speechless. The production crew? If this is Huang Momo, then the one who just finished playing the piano is? Just as everyone was petrified, the dance instructor Yu Man slowly walked out. Why are you here? Yu Man almost shouted out Bei Yunj's name, but fortunately he reacted quickly. Bei Yunj turned around and did not expect to see Yu Man. In fact, Bei Yunj's disguise was so bad that even people who met her every day might not be able to recognize her. However, the jacket that Bei Yunj was wearing was bought by Yu Man. Director, I'm sorry, but this is not a contestant. I'll take her out. Yu Man immediately pulled Bei Yunj out. What kind of joke was this? Bei Yunj can come to the talent show. Who could afford to pay her? However, it was as if everyone who knew the truth had exploded. She's really not a contestant. No wonder she didn't seem to know anything when she came in. The mentors were chatting. She's actually related to Goddess Man. It seems that she's not an artist. Her identity is not simple either. At the thought of the piano performance just now, the mentor sighed. That piano performance is amazing. Those who don't know would think that she's from the International Musicians Association upstairs. Don't say that. I've heard the performance upstairs. She's much better. At the same time, the people who were watching the live broadcast almost exploded the live broadcast. Chapter 476. No way? Did she really go the wrong way? Then why is this young lady here? I remember that apart from the second floor having a talent show, the 12th floor is still having the International Musicians Association's selection today. So, after Qin Youjiao finished performing, she went to the International Musicians Association's selection. Is this young lady also a participant in the third round of the International Musicians Association's selection? These words quickly attracted the dissatisfaction of Qin Youjiao's fans. After all, Qin Youjiao's biggest topic of conversation was that she had entered the third round of the International Musicians Association's selection. Now that Qin Youjiao's fans saw that someone actually had the same persona as their idol, they were naturally on guard. I'm speechless. A normal person is trying to take advantage of my Jiao? My Jiao is the only contestant under the age of 20 in the third round. Take away my Jiao, goodbye. My Jiao is also a senior in the music industry, right? Did the production team deliberately let a normal person create the devil's persona? They made her pretend to go the wrong way and even made everyone think that she was a contestant from the International Musicians Association? Question. Sour, sour, sour. Do you Jiao fans have a lemon attribute? Even Man knows her. Her identity is definitely not simple. A person begging this girl to debut. +1, don't go. Miss, don't be fierce to them. Stay and be fierce to me. I'm laughing. You, Man, only came from a humble background. What amazing person can you know? Just as everyone was discussing, Bei Yunj was successfully found by the management of the 12th floor. A few hours later, the term hashtag 10,000 people's blood begging piano lady hashtag also became a trending topic. Everyone was used to watching soft girls in talent shows and had seen many mature women in shows. However, this was the first time they had seen a young lady with the aura of a devil king. It was as if she had an aura of, I'm impatient, don't provoke me, written all over her body. With just a few questions, the production team and the mentors fell into a period of silence. However, just when everyone thought that this person was too arrogant, her piano skills instantly killed everyone, making everyone speechless. In Audiobook store, she really had the temper of a devil. The fans of the talent show rubbed their hands together silently. It was simply exciting to have such a female idol in the industry. After Yumanran sent her away, he returned. The director immediately stopped Yumanran. Manran, is that your friend? Yumanran looked at the director's smiling face and felt a little scared and wary. What are you trying to do? The director took a deep breath and put on a fake smile. What can I do? Has your friend ever thought about developing in the entertainment industry? Yumanran's eyelids twitched. He pursed his lips and said, My manager has asked as well. If she wanted to develop, she would have come a long time ago. The director thought about it and agreed. Although it was the first time they had met, the director could tell from the way he spoke and behaved in the past 10 minutes that he had a bad temper. Aya, why don't you let your friend take part in the competition? The remuneration is negotiable. The director continued to be shameless. Yumanran looked at him in disbelief. His face seemed to say, I don't know what you're talking about. Bei Yunj was short of money? This was someone who was short of money? The three people in the Qin family couldn't wait to pluck the stars and the moon for her. Not to mention the master of the Hua family, who spoiled Bei Yunj so much. Could she make Bei Yunj debut? What a joke. Brother Wang, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't think about anything that doesn't belong to you. Yumanran patted the director's shoulder. Chapter 477. At this moment, Bei Yunj saw that someone had followed her out to take photos of her secretly, so she went to the clothing store outside the building and changed her clothes before coming in. However, she did not expect to see Qin Yojiao the moment she opened the door. "Why are you here?" A dark look flashed past Qin Yojiao's eyes and she asked with a smile, "Are you here to participate in the International Musicians Association selection?" Bei Yunj glanced at her carelessly. "You can say that." Hearing this, Qin Yojiao's expression froze. She did not expect Bei Yunj to really come to participate in the third round of selection. But didn't they say that she was the only one under the age of 20 who passed the second round of selection? Qin Yojiao clenched her fists and smiled. "I didn't expect you to pass the second round too. Then all the best. I hope I can see you in the International Musicians Association too." Hearing this, Bei Yunj only snorted faintly, the smile on her lips faintly discernible. "I hope so." With that said, Bei Yunj entered the elevator and the staff beside her did not dare to speak. "Teacher Yun, that person just now was, what do you think?" Bei Yunj pressed the elevator button to the 12th floor lazily and asked slowly. "I don't know. I didn't hear it, I didn't see it." The staff immediately thought of all kinds of scenes in television dramas and immediately said. Bei Yunj was speechless. She glanced at the staff and said nothing, until they reached the 12th floor. "Come with me. This is... Where did the contestant perform?" Bei Yunj asked. "Oh, in the hall here." Bei Yunj glanced in the direction he was pointing and nodded. "Okay, I'll go over myself. You don't have to bring me." With that said, Bei Yunj turned and left. In the hall, everyone suddenly saw a girl walk in. God of Dance ebook. The girl had her hat pressed down and was wearing a black striped suit. 2 buttons of her white shirt were unbuttoned and she was wearing leather shorts. Her long legs were dazzling. Bei Yunj sat in the waiting area and glanced at the people in front of her casually. Arn and Jin Jiheng, who were in front of them, frowned. This was a contestant? Why didn't they have any impression of it? "Let's continue," Jin Jiheng said. Hearing this, Arn did not think too much about it and let the next person perform. After about 6 or 7 people, it was the turn of someone Bei Yunj found very familiar. Old Master Bo. The old man who had dressed casually at the banquet had changed into a well-tailored suit and was playing a violin. A few minutes later, just as Jin Jiheng was about to speak, he said, "Not bad, I'll keep. Have you passed your violin test yet?" Arn interrupted and asked. Old Master Bo held the violin and was stunned. No, in his time, he didn't know anything about exams. Later on, when the Bo family started to develop, they rarely touched such things. "That's why your violin is so mediocre. It can't even be compared to your piano," Arn said without giving him any face. At this moment, the surrounding people could not help but look at Old Master Bo. He was the oldest among the candidates. But he was humiliated in public. Old Master Bo pursed his lips and did not say a word. Arn sneered and crossed his arms. "I don't know what ability you have to make Wang choose you." The third round. There was no recording. He could take advantage of the fact that Wang was not here to eliminate this annoying old thing. No one in the hall was willing to stand up for Old Master Bo. They all lowered their heads. But suddenly, Chapter 478. Everyone was shocked and turned around to see the girl in the hat. They couldn't see her face clearly, only her sharp chin. Arnie's expression changed. "What's your name?" If the head examiner defines the contestants based on their level, why do they have to choose? Why don't we look at the information written by someone else? Bei Yunj crossed her legs. Her long and slender legs were so cold and fair that they dazzled people. Her slow tone was filled with unbridled mockery. Instantly, the people on the field couldn't help but cast her a look of respect. "Let me ask you, what's your name? Do you believe that I'll chase you out?" Arn was furious. He slammed the table and stood up. Old Master Bo was also shocked. He instinctively looked at Bei Yunj behind him. He didn't know this girl either. Why was she helping him? "Arn, watch your words." Jin Jiheng frowned. If Bei Yunj saw this, how could he stay in the International Musicians Association peacefully? The contestants have the ability to influence the examiner's thoughts. Arnie's tone was mocking. You don't even know if you can pass, yet you're still worried about others. I think he plays the violin very well. Bei Yunj said unhurriedly as she looked straight at Arn with her beautiful eyes. Arn sneered and retorted with Bei Yunj's words. Then are you planning to demonstrate with the violin? As soon as he finished speaking. He had thought that this girl would restrain herself, but he didn't expect Bei Yunj to really stand up and walk in front of Old Master Bo. Can I borrow it? Bei Yunj asked. Old Master Bo reacted and immediately handed it over. Bei Yunj placed the violin on her neck and tested the sound. Soon, the violin was played. This time, Bei Yunj was playing the score that Old Master Bo had just played. However, she had modified it. The score was more majestic and the style was unique and rich. However, there was also an inexplicable sense of familiarity. He seemed to have heard it somewhere before. Jin Jiheng was the first to have this doubt, but he couldn't remember it for a while. After the entire score was played, the two examiners, Arn and Arn, gradually looked embarrassed. He didn't look like he was here for the selection. Instead, he looked like he was here to cause trouble. Teacher, guess what level my violin is at? Bei Yunj's tone was long as she asked with a faint smile. However, there was no warmth in his eyes. Arn didn't look too good. Anyone who had studied music before wouldn't be able to lie through their teeth with such a level of proficiency in the violin. Teacher, if you think it's not good enough, you can demonstrate it yourself so that everyone can learn from it. Bei Yunj returned the violin to Old Master Bo. At this moment, Arnie's face was frighteningly dark. Everyone suspected that Arn would come down and attack the girl in the next moment. Shortly after, just as Arn was about to drive her out, she suddenly laughed. He said slowly, Mr. Arn, haven't you found your place yet? In an instant, Arnie's body stiffened. Even Jin Jiheng, who was beside him, reacted. Someone had said something similar to her. Back then, Wyan said the same thing. Just know your position. When the two of them reacted, their pupils constricted and they looked up at Bei Yunj. How was this possible? She was Wyan. They heard Yun's voice and knew that Wyan might be quite young, but wasn't she too young? Why? Before Jin Jiheng could speak, he heard her repeat her answer. I think he plays the violin very well. Chapter 479. With that said, Bei Yunj only curved her eyes and looked at them expressionlessly. Jin Jiheng was the first to react. He looked like a fan indulging his idol and said in a daze, Good, very good. Bei Yunj glanced at Arn as if nothing had happened and returned to her seat. All the contestants present were stunned. Even Old Master Bo was stunned. Wasn't this young lady a little too wild? She even dared to scold the head examiner like this? The strangest thing was that Mr. Jin Jiheng actually listened to her. Then, even Arn gritted his teeth and sat down as if he had swallowed the humiliation. Everyone? What kind of confusing scene was this? Everyone, continue preparing. Jin Jiheng was the first to react. He could tell that Bei Yunj did not want to reveal her identity, so he continued with the selection. When everyone saw this scene, they knew that the young lady at the end should be a very powerful big shot. It was very likely that one of the spots in the International Musicians Association would land on her. Everyone's thoughts ran wild as they continued to prepare for the assessment. At the same time, to Bei Yunj's surprise, Old Master Bo walked in front of her. Miss, thank you. You're welcome. Bei Yunj did not want to be recognized, so she did not raise her head and just said casually, Miss, your violin skills are really good. Old Master Bo was a little nervous as he rubbed his hands carefully. Can you teach me? I can pay you. Bei Yunj. I'm usually not free. She did not want to take in any more students. 3 of them were more than enough for her. I see. Old Master Bo was a little disappointed. Then he said to her sincerely, You're very good. There will definitely be a spot for you in the International Musicians Association this time. All the best. Bei Yunj, thank you. Prepare well for the last round and fight for a spot. Hearing this, Old Master Bo could not help but look at Bei Yunj. This young lady's tone sounded as if she was determined to get him into the 4th round. I hope so. Old Master Bo sighed and put on his top hat again. After saying goodbye to Bei Yunj, he left the 12th floor. This continued until the end of the 3rd round. Arn originally wanted to ask Bei Yunj the reason why she didn't directly reveal her identity. Instead, she deliberately wanted to embarrass him. However, he didn't expect that he wouldn't even see Bei Yunj after everything was over. Arn was so angry that he threw everything on the table away. Jin Jiheng furrowed his brows at the sight of this. Du Xiao was also trying to make Yun happy during this selection. Yun was not willing to come, so they helped to choose her. If Yun was willing to come, they were just decorations. Wasn't this clear from the start? However, Arn was a decisive person who did everything according to his own ideas. But it was obvious that Yun was not someone to be trifled with. Moreover, looking at the president's posture, Yun was very likely to be the next president of the International Musicians Association. Why can't Arn understand this little hint? In a corner, Arn was talking to someone on the phone with an unpleasant expression. Miss, I saw Yun. She's not easy to deal with at all. Fortunately, Yun wasn't here when Qin Yojiao was performing. That's good. It's fine as long as Qin Yojiao can pass this time. The mysterious woman smiled. Hearing this, Arn could not help but tell her about what happened this time. However, the woman only smiled. Arn, don't be too anxious. I'll help you get rid of Yun. P.S. Be good and remember the monthly votes. Chapter 480. Hearing the woman say this, Arn was still worried. Du Xiao likes her so much. How can he give up on her? Then let him have no choice but to give up. The woman's tone was relaxed, as if this problem could be solved easily. You did very well this time to inform me in time. I didn't expect Du Xiao to investigate so quickly. Fortunately, Qin Yojiao didn't perform that song. When the woman said this, her tone was cold. This Yun was really a difficult character to deal with. She really had to put in some effort to get rid of her. Otherwise, if such a person entered the top circle of country R, it might cause a lot of trouble for her. When Bei Yunj returned to the Qin family's old mansion, the butler told her that old Master Qin had brought a bunch of tonics and gifts to visit his ward mate. Ward mate? Bei Yunj did not expect old Master Qin's social skills to be so strong. Yes, I think it's a patient in the ward next door. He lost a leg a year ago. When the old master could get out of bed and walk, he ran to the ward next door almost every day. Bei Yunj raised an eyebrow and nodded. Okay, I got it. After chatting, Bei Yunj went upstairs to continue her research project. Until Sunday, Bei Yunj suddenly remembered that Huashidu had said that he would bring her to the auction. At this thought, Bei Yunj finally opened the door and went to the other end of the corridor to knock on the door of a guest room. So, the door to the guest room opened. Huashidu glanced at the little girl in front of him carelessly and walked in. Come in. Bei Yunj did not hesitate and followed Huashidu in. After all, she had stayed in this guest room before. Brother, when are we going to the auction? Bei Yunj had checked the auction before and it seemed that the items auctioned were not bad. Hearing this, Huashidu turned around and glanced up and down at Bei Yunj, his gaze landing on her straight and slender legs. His eyes were half dark with an inexplicable desire, but his voice was calm and composed. Change your clothes and we can prepare to leave. After Huashidu finished speaking, Bei Yunj finally reacted. She had only put on a loose white t-shirt and immediately went back to her room to change. After going downstairs, she saw that the man had already changed into an exquisite handmade black suit. His eyebrows were handsome and noble, and his pair of light-colored eyes were drooping, making the corners of his eyes look seductive and lazy. Yet she was cold and unapproachable. Bei Yunj could not help but look at Huashidu. Suddenly, the man put the newspaper on the table and stood up again. Yun. Bei Yunj subconsciously looked up. We'll see when we get in the car. Don't be late. The corners of Huashidu's thin red lips curled up slightly. Bei Yunj, at the auction. At 7:30, it was already very lively. A woman in a long blue dress walked in with a young man with deep eyes and eyebrows. "Miss Bo, I knew you would come too." Bo Jinxiao smiled and said gently, "The elders in the family like the auction item this time very much, so they specially came to take a look." "This is..." The woman beside her glanced at the boy beside her hesitantly. "This is Yuan's younger brother, Tish." Bo Jinxiao introduced him to her. "So it's the second young master of the Chu family." Admiration immediately appeared in the woman's eyes. As expected of Bo Jinxiao, she had already built a good relationship with the second young master of the Chu family before marrying into the Chu family. Chapter 481. The woman laughed again and teased. "Second young master Chu has lost so much weight that I almost couldn't recognize him. However, the Chu family's genes are indeed top-notch. Second young master's looks aren't any worse than eldest young master's. The Zhixing is thin-skinned." "Stop teasing him," Bo Jinxiao said with a smile. "Aya, our Chu family's future young madam is starting to protect her younger brother now?" The woman said this and did not notice that Chu Zhixing's eyes darkened when he heard this. "I've always treated Zhixing as my younger brother. Don't talk nonsense." Bo Jinxiao's words made Chu Zhixing look at Bo Jinxiao again, and he could not help but feel disappointed. Actually, he already knew that the only person Bo Jinxiao liked was his brother. At this thought, Chu Zhixing found an excuse with Bo Jinxiao and went to the washroom alone. At this moment, the woman continued to smile. "You're the most envious person in our industry." Bo Jinxiao only smirked and sat in the hall, drinking black tea. However, in the next moment, the woman's words made her froze. "However, I heard that the person from the Hua family came to the auction. He's in the VIP room on the top floor." Changing the topic, the woman probed, "Jinxiao, didn't you like to transition when you were in high school? The desserts at the auction were all made by the masters of our country. They indeed taste very good." Bo Jinxiao interrupted her and then smiled at her, her tone gentle. "In the past, I was still young and ignorant. I didn't know what the difference in status was. After I found out, I didn't dare to take that step even if I had the chance." Hearing this, the woman seemed to have heard something was wrong. "You didn't confess to that person back then?" the woman asked in surprise. Bo Jinxiao smiled and said nothing. However, the woman had been thinking about Bo Jinxiao's ambiguous words. Suddenly, she blurted out in surprise, "Could it be that Master Du actually had a good impression of you back then?" "Okay, I only have Ziyuan in my heart now." Bo Jinxiao smiled and continued to drink her black tea. However, the woman felt like she had been struck by lightning and could not believe it for a moment. After all, the rumor back then that Bo Jinxiao was infatuated with Huashidu and had confessed to him in high school. However, Huashidu was an unreachable existence in the eyes of others, so it was understandable for Bo Jinxiao to be rejected. Even then, Bo Jinxiao was the most popular socialite in the industry. However, as the heir of the Hua family, Bo Jinxiao was indeed not qualified to be Huashidu's fiancé. Therefore, everyone discussed this matter for more than half a year. However, not long after, Bo Jinxiao actually got together with Chu Ziyuan. It really made one sigh. "Kuei-Xiao, are you talking about?" The woman stopped mid-sentence, her heart filled with envy and pity for Bo Jinxiao. So Master Du really had feelings for Bo Jinxiao? What shocked her even more was that Bo Jinxiao had rejected Master Du. If it were anyone else who would be willing to do that, the woman believed Bo Jinxiao's words. After all, those rumors were definitely not as real as what she had said herself. However, when the woman left, Bo Jinxiao no longer looked as calm as before. Instead, she looked at the exclusive staircase of the VIP room on the top floor from time to time. Her eyes darkened, and she couldn't help but tighten her grip on the spoon. But after a while, he let go. Forget it, Huashidu didn't only treat her that way. It was just that no one could catch his eye. Chapter 482. Before Bo Jinxiao could look away, a familiar person suddenly came down from upstairs. Bei Yunj. She clenched her fists instinctively and her gaze changed. Bei Yunj had come down from the top floor just now. There were only 2 sets of VIP rooms on the top floor of this building. One of them must have been arranged for Huashidu. She did not know who had booked the other set for the time being. But it was definitely not the Qin family. Then why did Bei Yunj come down from the exclusive elevator on the top floor? At this moment, Bei Yunj did not notice Bo Jinxiao's gaze and only made a call impatiently. Are you not here yet? Wait a little longer. I'm almost there. The person on the other end of the call wished he could fly over with a call. It was not easy for him to find out from Delaney that Bei Yunj did not teach today and had come to attend the auction. Of course, he wanted to see Bei Yunj. 5 minutes. Bei Yunj gave him a time limit and hung up the call swiftly. On the other end of the call, Vic was speechless. The secretary, who did not notice anything, even pushed up his glasses and said to Vic, "Boss, there are a few teams in the maps of the gods and a few partners in Yuncheng looking for you. Tell them to stop bothering me." With that said, Vic stood up and leaned close to the driver, shouting hysterically, "What's going on? Can you move the car? Can you move it a little? How long had this road been stuck for? Why was it so congested?" The driver said, "Boss, this highway will be stuck for at least 15 minutes. Vic was speechless. Then why did I come out so late at night? Wake was in a bad mood as he collapsed on the leather sofa. The secretary asked carefully, "Are you still going to the auction?" "Yes," Vic said weakly. Yao Yao Literature Network. No matter what, even if they waited until the auction ended, it would be good to be able to block the entrance. The secretary did not know who his boss was going to see for him to be so anxious. Then, if they want to see you, let them come to the auction? Whatever. Wake's eyes were closed and he looked indifferent. On the other side, Bei Yunj sat on the sofa in the living room and waited for about 10 minutes. However, Vic was still nowhere to be seen. She pursed her lips and didn't wait any longer. Instead, she returned to the top floor. At this moment, not far away, Bo Jinxiao saw Bei Yunj take the exclusive elevator to the top floor. For a moment, an absurd and outrageous guess suddenly rushed into her mind. Bei Yunj was on the top floor. Did she know Huashidu? That was not right. Impossible. With Bei Yunj's status, how could she meet Huashidu? Just as Bo Jinxiao was deep in thought, Chu Zhixing returned. "Guangxiao, what are you thinking about?" Chu Zhixing sat opposite Bo Jinxiao. A dark look flashed past Bo Jinxiao's eyes and she glanced at Chu Zhixing, smiling. "It's nothing. By the way, I think I saw Bei Yunj just now. Are you close to Bei Yunj?" "Yes." Chu Zhixing poured himself a cup of tea. Suddenly, he heard her say, "Just now, I think I saw her enter the top floor." But with the Qin family's power, it's not enough for them to know the person on the top floor of the auction, right? Bo Jinxiao was testing him. Under normal circumstances, Chu Zhixing would have told her without thinking. However, to her surprise, Chu Zhixing's hand that was pouring tea stopped and he said, Chapter 483. The smile on Bo Jinxiao's face froze slightly. "Zhixing, are you wary of me? I won't tell anyone about Master Pei." Chu Zhixing liked Bo Jinxiao, but he could not tolerate anyone hurting Bei Yunj. Bo Jinxiao clearly did not expect Chu Zhixing to protect Bei Yunj so much, and an uncomfortable feeling rose in her heart. Even if she did not like Chu Zhixing, Bo Jinxiao hid the darkness in her eyes and said, "But I heard that the new young lady of the Qin family doesn't seem to have any friends in the industry. Zhixing, I'm thinking for you. Do you want to find such a person to be your friend?" At first, Bo Jinxiao was just testing him. However, she did not expect that when Chu Zhixing heard this, the warmth in his eyes completely disappeared. He wiped the corners of his mouth and stood up. "I have something on. I'll go back first." With that said, Chu Zhixing really stood up and prepared to leave. This made Bo Jinxiao's expression change and she clenched her fists tightly. This was the first time Chu Zhixing had treated her like this. In the past, as long as he was by her side, he would stick to her. At this moment, before Chu Zhixing could leave, a voice suddenly sounded from behind him. "Zhixing, where do you want to go?" Chu Zhixing turned around and saw Chu Ziyuan in a blue suit. He frowned. Brother. Chu Ziyuan had heard the conversation between Chu Zhixing and Bo Jinxiao just now and felt that Bo Jinxiao was right. Not to mention that the young lady of the Qin family had a bad reputation. Besides, now, the Chu family and the Xiao family had an unusual relationship. As the second young master of the Chu family, how could Chu Zhixing play with the young lady of the Qin family? Jinxiao is right. Zhixing, aren't you going to pay attention to your identity? Chu Ziyuan's voice was cold and serious. The Xiao family and the Qin family don't have a good relationship. You should interact less with the Qin family. As a member of the Chu family, you should have the Chu family's standpoint. Really? Chu Zhixing suddenly asked in return. Before Chu Ziyuan could react, he heard Chu Zhixing laugh carelessly. His deep eyes were calm, but his tone was firm. But my standpoint will always be Bei Yunj. After that, Chu Zhixing picked up his suit jacket and prepared to leave. This made Chu Ziyuan's gaze darken and he clenched his fists again. In the past, Chu Zhixing would never disobey him. If father finds out that you're hanging out with such a person, do you think you'll still be able to get anything from the Chu family? Chu Ziyuan said again. It doesn't matter. I'll give it to you if you want it. Chu Zhixing's words made Chu Ziyuan's face turn even darker. Chu Zhixing. Chu Ziyuan said coldly, if you walk out of the auction today, don't even think about going to country or to study. These words immediately made Chu Zhixing stop in his tracks. But in the next moment, someone put their shoulder on Chu Zhixing's shoulder. It's all right, I'll send you there. Chu Zhixing looked up and saw Qin Lang's cynical look. Qin Lang put one hand on Chu Zhixing's shoulder and smiled casually. President Chu, it's not a big deal. Why are you being so calculative with a child? This is the Chu clan's business. Chu Ziyuan's face was cold. President Chu, because of my sister, you don't let your brother study. As his brother, I naturally have to be responsible. When Qin Lang walked in, he also heard Chu Ziyuan and Chu Zhixing's conversation. Chapter 484. President Chu, the CEO of EG, is here. Chu Ziyuan's expression changed, and Qin Lang and the team members behind him also looked more serious. It was obvious that their target was the CEO of EG Corporation. EG Corporation was not only involved in the gaming industry, but also in many electronic industries. This time, since the CEO of EG could come to Yuncheng personally, everyone naturally thought of ways to make connections. Qin Lang did not even look up. Instead, he pulled Chu Zhixing to sit in a corner. Brother Lang, didn't the boss ask us to talk business? The other three team members looked at each other. You're going to talk? Qin Lang sat lazily on the sofa, scrolling through his moments and drinking a glass of juice with a straw. The team members shut up. Captain Qin, aren't you afraid that the boss will go crazy if you go against him? Suddenly, Chu Zhixing, who was beside him, glanced at the background of Qin Lang's moments. Your background, isn't it nice? I took it secretly last time. Qin Lang smiled lazily. There's no need to be too restrained. You can call me third brother like Gu. Chu Zhixing nodded and looked away from the background picture, but he did not say anything. Given Master Pei's temper, if she knew that her photo had been placed in the background of his moments, something was going to happen. However, this photo was rather blurry. One could only vaguely see Bei Yunj's bright eyes and the cold light in her eyes. Probably only those who had seen Bei Yunj before would be able to recognize her. After a while, Chu Zhixing saw Chu Ziyuan standing with an unfamiliar boy. Qin Lang recognized that person. It was Xiao Ji. Thank you for the news, young Master Xiao. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that the CEO of EG Corporation is coming to the auction. Xiao Ji laughed nonchalantly. I don't know why the CEO of EG would come here on a whim. Anyway, our Chu and Xiao families are in a cooperative relationship. Naturally, we hope for a win-win situation. Chu Ziyuan smiled. At this moment, everyone also noticed that some big shots that were rarely seen were gathered in the hall. Even the eldest young master of the Chu family had appeared. But soon, everyone's doubts were resolved. At the door, a foreign man in a black trench coat walked in hurriedly while talking on the phone, followed by two assistants. "It's Mr. Vic!" everyone exclaimed. Many people recognized that this was the founder of EG Corporation, Vic. In the past few years, EG Corporation had been evaluated as the company with the most potential in our nation. It had also maintained deep cooperation with Delaney Corporation. He was also one of the key partners in the country, hoping to expand the overseas market in country R. It was no wonder why there were so many important figures here, as expected. The people from the Chu family and the Xiao family were the first to step forward. However, before Chu Ziyuan could speak, Vic suddenly reached out his hand and gestured for him to stay away. "Don't tell me you blacklisted me? Why can't I get through?" Wake wasn't in the mood to pay attention to others. As for the two assistants behind him, they were already used to it. Every month, the boss would always have a few days. Everyone could see that Wake seemed to be calling a very important person, so they didn't say anything. But who would have thought? Wake had been on the phone for 10 minutes. No one knew what kind of god was on the other end of the phone, but he had no intention of answering. Who was this person? How dare he ignore the big boss like this? You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.